Greetings from Tartu. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it to the conference in person, but unfortunately, life is life. So I recorded my presentation, and I really hope it gives you something, or at least gives a new perspective or a view of child participation and rights on the European level and local level. So, thank you.
Hello again. I'm Kärg Valner. I'm 19 years old, so I've legally been an adult for almost 2 years, but I would say I still look and think and act like a child, and it's kind of hard to let go of that world since, firstly, I've just been a child for 18 years, but also I've been in the child protection and child participation and child rights world for 18 years old, if not longer. But I've kind of made peace with me. My today's topic is evolution, not revolution, but I think I'll leave the explaining the name part till the end so you can actively think what do I mean with the name. Briefly about the content of this presentation. First of all, I'll just discuss who am I to talk. So, I don't know, I'll just give an overview about myself, an introduction to my past with child rights and child participation world. And yeah. Second of all, I'll talk about what I've seen, what I've actually seen and actually been a part of. So those changes that have been made in the European and national level. Then I'll briefly discuss what more can be done. It's gonna be a blog about generating ideas and just why are we doing what we are doing, why is it important, and what more really can be done, where do we need to leave from here. I'm so sorry if my cat meows sometimes in the distance. Hopefully that's okay. And lastly, I'll talk about why do they need you? Okay, so let's move to the egotistic block. About me. I was the representative of Estonia in Eurochild Children's Council from 2019 till 2020. The mandate's supposed to be for 2 years. Please don't jump on the computer. Thank you. The mandate's supposed to be for 3 years, but, there was a virus coming up. Anyways, thanks to being in the Eurochild, which is one of the most important and the biggest organizations that works with children and for children and just breathes and lives child participation and child rights. It was a wonderful experience because first of all, I got to work with so many inspired people that really, really want to work with children, not only work for them, but also I got to see how the politics are made on the European level, since we literally worked with European Parliament, Council of Europe, European Commission, and that kind of institutions that truly lead the politics in the European level. So yeah, I gained a lot from there. I hopefully gave a lot as well. So just a timeline of the activities that show that even small actions can lead to big things. I started with the Estonian Union for Child Welfare when I was really, really, really young, because my brother used to work there, and I went to the office already as a, I don't know, 7-year-old little kid, giving them input, because they were an organization, and still are, an organization that where children really are heard, and not only heard but also listened. And I say that with my whole heart, because I kind of fell in love with child participation, working with the Estonian Union for Child Welfare, because I myself really felt that my opinions and my voice is heard and taken into consideration. From there, I moved to Eurochild, thanks to being in the Estonian Union for Child Welfare. As I already mentioned, the mandate gave me a lot, so I won't focus on being in Eurochild for long. But anyways, the institutions that I got to work with were, Council of Europe, European Commission, DigiChan, UNICEF, European Parliament, and there were lots and lots of more, but they just couldn't fit to the picture. Okay, now let's move on to the next theme block, and it's talking about what has already been done on the European Estonian level, since I've been and worked mostly on the European Union level for the past few years or previous years. Then I don't have a lot to say about the Estonian level, because my whole focus was on kind of my work and trying to be the best of what I can be. So but I definitely can say that the things in Estonian level are also moving really fast, and there are some great things done. Just briefly about the evolution of my own child rights world, how it started. I like to bring up the story of child participation, which happened to me in the first year of legally and actually being a part of the Children's Council and in my Estonian organization. So there was a conference being held, and they really wanted to include children. So their view of child inclusion was inviting a children's choir to sing. I think we can all agree and see why that isn't really the best example of child participation. But anyways, how it's going. I can say that between those two parts there was nothing done. Definitely was, but they were mostly small steps that looked really small. But now if I think of the bigger perspective and bigger time view and timeline, then those small steps actually were a start of something really big and good, and it's still going on. It's an ongoing process, and it will go on forever, because not only child rights but human rights as well are always being improved, and there's always something to change for the better. Something needs improvement always, as you know, about everything. But what I've seen during my mandate in the Eurochild Children's Council, I was part of the UNCRC 30th birthday. UNCRC is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, so it's kind of the most important document about child rights in the world. there was a big conference and seminar being held in the European Parliament, and it was lovely that we were not included to listen to those really influential people, but also talk to those influential people. For example, we got to interview some of the MEPs, we got to just have a casual conversation with the MEPs, but there were also panels with ministers from different countries. For example, I was in a panel with a French minister, and there was there was a big panel with like the main people, in the European Parliament, and one of the members from the Eurochild Children's Council, where are 11 members, the Irish representative was in the panel with like the president of the European Parliament and people from the European Commission. So yeah, it was a big deal. Then the European Commission held the 13th Forum on the Rights of the Child, and it is important to notion that for 12 forums, non-children were included. Well, yeah, there were some people in the audience, but like no one was included for the workshops, no one was included for the panel discussions, no one was included for the whole organization for the forum. And we were the first children that were included. And not only in the panels, not only in the workshops, not only as performers, but also it took months to organize this event, and they included us in all of those processes, starting from the choosing the name and theme of the forum, and ending with, I don't know what should we talk about? Who should we talk with? So it was also a really big deal. Then we were included in making a child-friendly version of the child participation study report. It was a study held also by the European Commission, and it showed that things with child participation aren't as good in the European level as they should be. That's definitely a document that I would recommend taking a look over. So you can find it almost everywhere. Just Google it. or I can, if someone's interested, then I can also send you a link to that. And also the EU Child Rights Guarantee and Strategy on the Rights of the Child, where we were included from the starting point, or from the empty plate moment, as I like to say. For me, I think actually the most remarkable action was doing workshops for the European Commission. And it is remarkable because it wasn't our idea. Okay, the first workshops were already on the forum of the rights of the child, and for example, Eurochild's assemblies, and so yeah, they saw and they felt that we can do some workshops, but to do a workshop that is focused on child participation, child inclusion, what were we talking, child-friendly justice, so that kind of themes. The European Commission, it was their idea to invite us to do those workshops for their team, not only their child participation team, but also the whole team. It was open for everyone that wants to come, and there were not a few, there were quite a lot of people. So I think that's something worth mentioning. So at least the European Commission, one of the biggest institutions in the European Union level, they really wanted us to give a workshop for them about child participation, and I think that that's something big. One of my colleagues, Victor from Wales, put why is child participation and child inclusion necessary into perfect words, I would say. So, you can close your eyes, for example. Imagine a situation. You're in the office, behind your desk. You have a colleague that you admire and respect, but you don't really know them. You don't know what they like. You don't know how they act. You just assume everything. So, it's a great day. The weather's beautiful. You have all your emotions are up. You're so happy. Everything's so good. It's a beautiful life. And you decide to go and grab a coffee from the coffee corner. And you think that, my colleague looks like they love hot chocolate. Absolutely adores hot chocolate. So you decide to grab one hot chocolate for them as well. So you're walking back. Give the hot chocolate to your colleague and wait for their response. But it appears that they absolutely they hate hot chocolate, and they're also allergic to hot chocolate. If you would have asked them, would they like hot chocolate? Do they like hot chocolate? It would have saved you from so much trouble. It would be the same with child inclusion. I would say that the most important thing for everyone to understand is that small things can be just a start for really great things, because you never know where your actions can lead. And if you do something new which you've never tried before and you feel like it doesn't really work out, then actually it might. Because I've done a lot of projects and created a lot of articles, been in a lot of conferences and seminars, which sometimes end with the feeling that, did I even do something? Did I even make a small change? But as I brought out in the last slide, I started with child participation being inviting a children's choir to sing. And now I have talked in the European Parliament. I've spoken to European Commission. So a lot has changed with those small steps. And there is hope. There is always hope, but there is hope. There's a lot of hope right now. So it's just something I want you all to remember, that what you are doing is really important and it will eventually work out. And yeah, as I already mentioned somewhere earlier, one of my favorite topics is also child-friendly language. So this is something that I bring with me everywhere I go. I cannot bring all the experiences that I've gained and all the practices that I've seen and been a part of, because trying it all is just not possible. but also be as an adult. I can, for example, the first thing I can do with everyone is use a child-friendly language and try to change the world firstly from that perspective. I'm not trying to say that you all have to, well, actually, you all have to use child-friendly language. That is my point. But just try to find your own topic and your own strength with what to work for in your work. Yeah, that was an amazing sentence. Let's move on. For a moment, I would like a few to once again close your eyes and think what needs to be done. Doesn't matter whether on the European level, on the national level, in your own organization, in your school, in your life, whatever. Just think of all the things that come to your mind that need to be done. If you have a pen, if you have a paper, then of course you can write it down as well. Yeah, unfortunately we do not have a lot of time, so I would just like I would like you to promise me one thing, that if you go home, you try to do this practice. You write down 3 times what needs to be done. So you have 1 minute to write down what needs to be done. Yeah, it's over. The second minute, you have to write down what needs to be done, but things that you haven't already written down. Third minute, you write down what needs to be done, but the things you haven't mentioned before. Yeah, the ideas that came to you on the third time are the great ideas, and try to work with them. Try to, for example, select one of those and think, what can you do now, right now? What will you do if you, I don't know, put down your pen? What's the first thing you can do to change that thing that needs to be done? Since I'm kind of short on time already, I'll briefly take the last block as well. I think you've already heard why child inclusion is so important. Not only being included can you change the world better for you, but if you already have the opportunity to talk, to be listened, if you have the stage to be listened, if you have a public, an audience that tries to listen to you and tries to hear you, then it should be mandatory to also speak for them that aren't heard. But just some keywords why child inclusion is important. Mandatory. It should be a normality, not an exotical thing. Anyways, children bring new ideas, and they bring a new perspective, which I mentioned 100 times already in this presentation. Second of all, child rights are human rights. That's not something to forget. And child-friendly is everyone-friendly. It is not a favor to only children. It is also a favor to adults. Children to be included in all of the empty plate moments. They deserve a seat at the table. Why I put "they" in bold? It's because as I mentioned, it is hard to move away from the world, but I've made peace with me. I am an adult now, and I can't say anymore that we deserve a seat at the table, since it is not my responsibility to be the loud child screaming about my rights. I am now the adult that needs to listen to them, those children screaming, that needs to take them into consideration, and that needs to tell everyone around me, all the adults around me, to do the same, because we all used to be those children screaming, being loud. That is something to remember, all the adults, right? Okay, perhaps you've already understood why I picked the name Why Evolution. No, I picked the name Evolution, not Revolution. It's because the process of making the world more child-friendly isn't only the work of a few previous years. You know, the UNCRC is already 33 years old, 32, I'm not 100% sure right now. And it also had to come from something, some ideas that I think started a lot longer before. But yeah, it is true that the few previous years have changed a lot, have been remarkable, have made changes really fast. So dealing with child rights and child participation is a long process, and it is, as I already mentioned, it is important to make sure that the small steps you make aren't forgotten, because even the smallest parts, the smallest processes, the smallest changes actually are part of the big perspective and are part of making the world more child-friendly, making the world where including children, listening to children is a normality. Making the world where you can ask, why is the sky blue? Because it is blue. Why does water taste tasteless? Because the water tastes tasteless. Why should we listen to children? Because we should listen to children. Yeah, it's kind of poetic right now, so I'm gonna end. Thank you. If you have any questions, then of course be sure to contact me, and I hope you have a lovely conference. Thank you.